Today, we're going to be talking about some FNAF fan games that had the entire community cheering them on. Whether they had incredible concepts, passionate developers, or simply showed an insane amount of potential, these were projects people genuinely wanted to see succeed. Some of these had fans following their development every step of the way, so let's get into it. Remakes of the original Click Team FNAF games, something that is definitely pretty popular within the FNAF community. However, how many of them can you name that are actually memorable? FNAF 1 Remake, FNAF 2 Reimagined, Hopeless Pursuit? Sure, those are all titles that are definitely memorable for one reason or another, but the game we're going to be covering today I feel is very memorable. A game I only discovered recently and I really enjoyed. Today, we'll be talking about Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy, a recreation of the first FNAF game with so many changes, it's hard to tell that's even what it is. So strap in, because we've got a lot to talk about this time around. Join me today as we clap our cheeks into the world of Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy. Legacy does not begin in a very typical FNAF fashion. We begin in this red void of smoke, and a disembodied voice of who knows who speaking to us. They ask if they've reached us, and after confirming, they ask us the question, do you know what happens when the past gets infused with agony? After explaining that the answer is that it changes, they ask us one more question. Why did we drown in the lake? They say that we've disturbed its peace, not knowing what it is. The voice tells us we've brought consequences. So this tells me that this disembodied voice is most likely Old Man Consequences, from referencing the lake, the literally saying consequences, to of course the red background. That's really the only line I can draw as to who this is. But with that, we're booted to the menu screen and we can really begin. But of course, this game is still not done being extra. Upon starting a new game, we get what feels like a teaser trailer for the game, but it's inside of the game. I have no idea, it's really goofy and unique and I like it. But would you believe me if I told you that even after that, this game is still not done being itself? Let's just say that, because it's not. Afterwards, we get an opening cutscene.
Hello, my name is Ethan Caldwell, and tonight we continue our coverage of the developing case surrounding the mysterious disappearance at the recently reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The public had been captivated by the case. The missing security guard, 25 years old Daniel Grace, had last been seen arriving late for work on Monday night. No official causes had been released by officials, but the bizarre circumstances of Grace's disappearance have fostered speculation. Tragic accident, or was something more sinister involving the recently reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza?
Very interesting opening cutscene. Voice acting, not terrible at all. Really setting the scene. I'm enjoying this. What happens next? Oh my god, we're still not done being extra. Okay, that's fine. I can work with this. After watching the cutscene, we begin outside of the building and actually have to walk inside and into the back room to start doing tasks before the night truly begins. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing interesting you can find while walking to this back room. Oh, yeah, fat motherfucker. Jesus. Ugly. So once we get there, we can explain the downloading log task minigame. It's very simple. You have two monitors. One monitor you can use to download the phone call for each night so that you can listen to it later. And you can also read some interesting information. The second monitor is a camera feed that auto-scrolls through the cameras in the building. All you have to do is download the phone call by clicking and holding. And if Bonnie ever comes into the back room with you, just hide under your desk until you hear him leave. Oh my fucking Christ. Oh my god. Hey, Bonnie's on the move again. Why are you looking at me like... He's giving me that dream angle, bro. And don't give me the dream angle, bro. Once you finish fully downloading the phone call, you'll be thrown into the night. But before we can talk about the night, we first have to talk about the lore information you can read. After the disappearance of Charlie, the Fredbear's Family Diner closes its doors for good. Finally, I'm tired of working in this place. The animatronics smell like rotten eggs. I hope they never open again. So it seems in this universe, we have some name swaps. That's always fun. Who is Charlie? I have no idea. However, it's pretty clear he's dead as fuck. Not very Riz, but okay, you do you, I guess, boo. They say the animatronics smell like eggs. Weird diss, I suppose, but there are probably dead kids in there, so I guess that checks out too. Anyways, onto the actual night section. How does that sound? Night 1 gives us literally the longest phone call on the face of the planet. Seriously, it lasts until 4:30 a.m. Please God kill me. Anyways, fuck what the phone guy has to say. I'm gonna do it for him. My voice is way better, and I know you guys have some odd things to say about my voice. Yes, I read every single comment I get, by the way, guys. Some of you are fucking freaks. Behave. Let's start by talking about your office because it is a little different from FNAF 1. You do still have 2 doors, so that's nothing new. On the left side, you'll be able to flash the light down the hallway and hold the door closed. Simple sugar. This is what I do to my Willy in bed. I just fucking rock it back and forth. I'm gonna shut up. The right side, however, is where things start to get a bit different. You'll notice there's no door. Well, uh-oh. Where the fuck did it go, huh? Well, joke's on you, there was never a door there in the first place. Why the hell would this company install a door on one side and not the other? I have no fucking idea. Someone clearly did the budget very poorly and they should be ashamed of themselves because this is just embarrassing. To compensate for no door, you can flash your flashlight down the hall and see a grand total of fucking nothing at all because your flashlight is actually ass. But who cares, right? Let's just hope we never have to use it. In front of us is a monitor that surprisingly is not our camera. On it, we have 3 options: reboot, alarm, and vent. I literally never once used the reboot menu, so I'm just gonna pretend like it doesn't even exist. The alarm and vent sections, however, are important, and I will explain them more once they become important. Anyways, who are the big bastards introduced on this night? Well, it's a remake of FNAF 1, so that should be pretty obvious. Night 1 introduces Bonnie and Chica. Don't click off the video! I promise they're interesting and do wildly different things than what they do in the original. I wouldn't be covering this game if they didn't. I promise. Let's start with Bonnie since we've already encountered him in the pre-night minigame. Bonnie can attack both your left and right doors. Fuck. I was hoping we could avoid using the flashlight, but I guess I'll just put my balls in a vice grip then, who cares? Bonnie is a shy little autistic emo femboy and doesn't handle eye contact very well. So if you stare at the camera he's on for too long, he'll crank that Soulja Boy and knock the entire thing offline for the rest of the night. Which, by the way, the phone guy mentions that the repair for said camera will come out of our paycheck if that is to happen. And since we're living in FNAF world where we're making a whopping $100 fucking a week, I highly doubt one of our paychecks would even be enough to pay for that anyways. So let's really try to prevent that from happening, shall we? If Bonnie chooses to attack your left door, you will be able to see him in the hallway when you use your light. From that point, just hold the door closed until you hear him bang on it and congrats, problem solved, he'll go back to the stage. Bonnie's attack on the right door is a little bit more interesting. When Bonnie gets to the right door, he will literally enter your office, which is just not a fun sight at all and will in fact make your blood pressure spike to 168 in a fraction of a second. Once he's in your office, you'll have to use the alarm system to make the loudest fucking noise of all time. And when you do, he'll run away because it's too loud and overstimulating. And remember, he's a little autistic, he's sensitive to sound, so you're really just bullying an autistic kid. That's not very epic, but do what you gotta do, I guess. Chica, on the other hand, also has 2 means of attacking you. The first has her go to a certain camera. Now pause for a moment. I want you to take a look at her belly and tell me, what camera do you think she goes to? If you said the bathroom to shit, I'll give you half points because she does travel through the bathroom. Chica's looking me in my eyes. Look at a cupcake. Look at a cupcake, bro. Look at his eyes. He's trying to seduce me and shit. And it's like low-key kind of working. I meant what? But no, the actual answer is the kitchen because she's a whale. If she's in the kitchen, you will have to use the bell button to scare her away. If you're wondering why the sound of a bell that signifies that food is ready would scare a hippo who eats for a living away, the answer is because she gets scared that the food has already been served in the dining room and she's really scared that she may have missed it and maybe the kids in the dining room have already started eating, but she actually has a rule in her house where nobody is allowed to eat until she's full, except spoiler alert, roly-poly ass chicken bitch is never full, so all of the kids starve and die. Anyways, move. The stupidest thing I've ever written. Anyways, moving on to her second attack where she goes into your vents. Now pause. There's a very easy fat joke I could make here about her not being able to fit in the vent. However, I would never make a fat joke, and this game indirectly makes one for me. Let me explain. Throughout my playthrough, which you can see over on my second channel, Dexter Black, Chica attacked me through the vent no more than 3 times ever. For some reason, she just doesn't really ever do it, which would lead me to believe that my headcanon that she's such a fat bitch. Which would lead me to believe that my headcanon that she's such a fat bitch that she's too scared to try and move through the vents would be correct. If you want to hear my alternative headcanon as to why she doesn't attack through the vents, even though she's programmed to, it's that she'd much rather go to the kitchen where the food might be. Pig ass fucking robot bitch. Anyways, if she does go through the vent, she'll make a sound cue, and all you have to do is use your monitor to seal the vent until you hear her leave. But hey, not so bad. Pretty easy to understand overall. With that, we complete night 1 and can move on to night 2. But of course, before we can start night 2, we have a pre-night phone call to download. Fuck actually talking about the minigame part, it's literally identical to night 1, and the remainder of the nights are as well. But we can of course talk about the lore we can read during it. Finally got the job here at this new Freddy's location. I can't wait to start tinkering around with those animatronic models. They're supposed to have this new advanced free roam mode? Crazy technology. This message seems to be coming from a possible new hire technician designed to work on programming the characters. In the night 1 phone call, the phone guy mentions that the characters were specifically programmed to walk around at night to stretch their legs. So maybe this guy is the guy that chose to make that decision, even though there's literally no need for it whatsoever. This guy just seems like the type to get way too excited over his interests. He probably has a pony jar, I'm just saying. Night 2 begins with the phone guy talking literally as long as he fucking can. This phone call lasts until 2:50 a.m. So that's just awesome. Anyways, who gets introduced on this night? Well, slow your roll, fucker. There's 2 things about the cameras I want to talk about first. The first is that during this phone call, the phone guy mentions that William disabled the backstage camera. However, when you go to check the backstage camera, you'll see that it works perfectly fine. So I don't know what that guy was talking about. The second thing is that Bonnie destroyed the kitchen camera, so you're stuck listening to be able to tell if Chica is there or not. Hooray! I love life. That's a lie, I don't. Anyways, back to who gets introduced on this night. Well, guess what? It's nobody. Nobody is introduced on this night. I'm fairly certain that night 2 is when Bonnie and Chica are allowed to start using their second form of attack. Bonnie's right hall attack and Chica's vent attack. Maybe. I'm not really sure exactly why nothing new is introduced here, if I'm being honest, but that's what happens. Anyways, let's move on to night 3. Maybe something new will be added there. Night 3, phone guy only talks until 1:53 a.m. So hey, I guess that's progress. Night 3 does actually introduce something new, but before we talk about who it is, I want to mention something the phone guy brings up. He says that William ordered 2 vintage animatronics, a type of animatronic that they don't make anymore, from an old location. Now, I'm not a genius, but it also doesn't take a genius to figure out that he's undoubtedly talking about Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. He says they won't need any repairs, so that means they're working exactly as intended and there shouldn't be any problems with them at all, right? Anyways, night 3 introduces Freddy, and a mechanic that makes me want to stick a push pin in my testicle, pull it out, and slowly squeeze all of the various juices out of it. Freddy stays on stage for a majority of the night. However, whenever he damn well pleases, he will choose to leave with a sound cue. When he does, you will have to find him on the fucking cameras as he teleports to a random one. God damn, guys, I'm getting real sick of this mechanic, you know that? Anyways, luckily, Freddy can't go to literally any camera. He can only teleport to the backstage camera, the arcade camera, the dining hall camera, the restroom camera, or the entrance camera. Basically all the fucking cameras. Once you find which camera Freddy went to, all you have to do is use a camera flash to send him back to the main stage. I know I haven't talked about the camera flash yet, but this is really the only occasion you ever use it. So I thought, why bring it up earlier? Anyways, let's move on. You don't need to hear me explain my thought process for pacing while I script. Let's continue. Actually, now that I say let's continue, I'm noticing that's the only thing night 3 introduces, so we should probably move on to night 4. But hold up! After beating night 3, we actually get a post-night 8-bit minigame. And this is actually the only post-night 8-bit minigame throughout the whole game. In this minigame, we play as William inside the restaurant. Upon trying to leave the room, we're told to get what we need. After what took me probably 5 fucking minutes of trial and error, I finally found out that you need to interact with this very obvious looking present on this table. You might be wondering how it took me 5 minutes to figure that out, and that's because I tried it right away, but nothing happened. The hitboxes in this minigame are some of the most retarded, inconsistent shit I've ever seen. If I had to pick a least favorite moment from this entire game, it would undoubtedly be playing this minigame. Anyways, after opening the gift box, we get a knife and can exit the back room. Outside of it, we find a crying child asking for his parents. We tell him we know where his parents are, and upon following us to the back room, we fucking murder him, smiling the entire time. What if I just don't? Can I just choose to like not do that? Maybe that's a crazy ask. Okay, I have to. Damn! Based. Based. Everybody, it's based. Based and rizzed. Based and riz, bro. Anyways, on to night 4. Night 4 has the phone guy relapse and completely break all of his progress he's made so far as he yaps until fucking 4:06 a.m. Jesus Christ, bro. There cannot be that much to talk about. And in truth, there really isn't. 80% of his phone calls are made up of awkwardly laughing at the unfunniest joke you've ever heard really slowly, and then pretending like the joke he said he didn't even say. Interesting.
Let's just say the camera now has a new perspective on the floor tiles.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Phone guy is a character for sure in this game. Anyways, what's introduced? Night 4 introduces one new threat, that being Foxy. The final threat this game introduces, actually. And if you know my videos, you know I'm fucking lying and we're gonna introduce some more later, but fuck you. Foxy is probably my favorite character in this entire game, having his attack act as sort of a minigame reminiscent of Five Nights at Candy's 3. Very vaguely. Foxy will slowly appear out from behind his curtains, which, in all honesty, these Foxy frames are probably the creepiest frames throughout the entirety of this game, if I'm being honest. They're not like literally scary, but the positions he's in, mixed with how large he is, just makes him feel very uncomfortable. Anyways, how does he work? After he leaves Pirate's Cove, you will be able to hear him running towards either your left door or your right door, and very intense music will start playing like it's a fucking boss fight, which I think is really cool. If he runs towards your left door, all you have to do is close the door until you hear him bang on it. If he runs to the right door, all you have to do is hold your light on his face until he runs away. Where this becomes slightly reminiscent of Candy's 3 is that he will move around and attack multiple times, going back and forth between the two doors as many times as he'd like. Is it hard? No, and in fact, literally every other character pauses while Foxy is attacking you. So that's very RNG considerate. Thank you guys greatly. But yeah, that's about it. Pretty fun character overall. Gets your blood pumping a bit, especially when you hear the music that starts to play alongside it. But anyways, on to night 5. I lied. I have one other thing I want to talk about first. During the night 4 phone call, the phone guy mentions that one of the animatronics they were shipping arrived early and was like nothing that was written down to be shipped. A single endoskeleton with a weird model they've never seen before and very sharp fingers. They say they're leaving it in the safe room for now until they know what to do with it. First of all, I should mention that the safe room is a camera that you have never been able to access since the start of the game. The second thing to mention is that I'm not like an expert, and I'm really bad when it comes to the official FNAF lore, like criminally terrible, and if I'm being honest, I actually don't even like the official FNAF lore, and I haven't since Pizzeria Simulator. But that endoskeleton sounds a lot like the Mimic to me. Maybe I'm just a bit nutty, but I bet I'm not. 6 a.m., bro, let's do it. Easy peasy lemon dick.
This is Henry Emily, the founder and, for better or worse, the sole person responsible for this place's continued existence.
Oh my god, it's the fucking Mimic. So yeah, after beating night 4, we get a scrap minigame with what I can only imagine is the Mimic. And of course, this minigame works exactly how the minigames in Pizzeria Simulator work. Play some weird ass sounds, document results. Watch the fucker across the table move in ways you'd really prefer it doesn't. You know, FNAF shit. Shit we're all used to at this point. But after you get jump scared by the Mimic, we can talk about the pre-night 5 minigame. Dexter, you've already said these don't change. Well, you're right. It really doesn't change from the other 4 we've done. However, on this night, we also get access to the admin panel where we can actually enable the safe room camera's access. Oh yeah, and we also see M2 plans that are redacted, I'm pretty sure being references to the Mimic, and Charlotte being redacted too. Dead kid stuff, who cares? I want to see this camera, bro. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, I can tell you what. Well, we're gonna talk about those guys a bit later. For now, let's just talk about Night 5. Night 5 is pretty boring overall, being a harder version of Night 4. That is, until you beat it. That's when something I wasn't expecting to happen at all happened.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you like this, but I'm afraid your time is up. Your curiosity and your need for answers are what first brought you here. And now, they have become your undoing. Because all those who enter this place are doomed to never leave. There are monsters who steal others' voices, monsters who steal others' souls. And then, there is you, the one who craved to learn more than he should, and more than he ever will. You will not find the answers you seek here, only your ruin. But while your sacrifice will be forgotten, the impact it will have will not, as the wounds of the past left to fester can finally heal. There will be no more suffering, no more loss, only peace. Peace and a forgotten tomb sealed away, never to be opened again. It all ends tonight. End communication.
Holy shit, we're getting a Golden Freddy boss fight, and it actually has the most badass intense boss music I've ever heard in my fucking life. Golden Freddy isn't very complicated, but he does attack you very quickly, so you'll have to stay on your toes. And of course, he has several attack methods at his disposal, which are all inspired by the attacks of the other characters in typical boss night fight fashion. His first attack has him appear at your right door. All you have to do is hold your light on him until he goes away. His other attack has him pull a Freddy and have you find him on the cameras. However, this one actually proves to be easier than Freddy is, since he actually only appears on 2 cameras, the back room and the entrance. And that's actually it. Dexter, that's it? That's all the final boss of this game has to offer? Really? Hey, shut the fuck up. Look at how much time is left in this video. We're not done yet, bro. Sit the fuck down. About 30 seconds into the night is when you'll notice that all the other characters are still active. What the fuck? This is why Golden Freddy only has 2 attacks, because he's in addition to everything else you've already gotten used to, mixed with the incredibly intense music, the fire all over your screen, the shit in my britches. This serves to be one of the coolest boss fight nights I've ever seen in a FNAF game. It's so fun.
Good morning. I am Ethan Caldwell. We're coming to you with breaking news. A catastrophic fire has reduced a newly reopened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza to ashes in what officials are calling a nightmare scenario. Flames tore through the building just after 7 a.m., with witnesses reporting smoke so thick it blotted out the morning sun. Firefighters arrived, but the inferno had already consumed the entire structure. Authorities confirm all employees escaped unharmed, and thankfully, no customers were in sight at the time. However, in a grim twist, investigators have revealed 2 disturbing details. First, the restaurant's infamous animatronic characters, along the centerpiece of the franchise, were completely destroyed in the blaze. And second, even more unsettling, there was an intruder inside when the fire broke out. Security footage recovered from an external camera shows an unidentified individual entering the building in the middle of the night. Their motives remain unknown. What is certain, however, is that they never made it out. Police have not yet released a description, but sources close to the investigation say the manner of death was, unquote, horrific. This tragedy only deepens the dark legacy of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. After years of controversy, bizarre incidents, and persistent rumors of hauntings, many are asking, was this arson, an accident, or something far more unnatural and sinister? We'll continue to follow the story shortly for Channel 7 News. Stay tuned.
To our beloved Fazbear family. At Fazbear Entertainment, our top priority has always been delivering safe, wholesome, and unforgettable experiences for families across our establishment. In light of the recent isolated events at one of our locations, we want to take this opportunity to reassure our loyal fans that every possible measure is being taken to ensure such thing will not happen again. While the exact circumstances surrounding the incident remain under internal review, preliminary findings suggest it was caused by absolutely nothing related to prior complaints or unresolved maintenance issues. Our team is working closely with third-party investigators to determine the best path forward. We'd also like to clarify that reports of unusual activity prior to the event, including alleged animatronic malfunctions, unexplained power surges, are entirely unfounded and likely the result of overactive imaginations. Rest assured, all our animatronic performers are completely harmless and incapable of independent movement outside of their pre-programmed routines. Any footage suggesting otherwise is clearly doctored or taken out of context. As we look toward the future, Fazbear Entertainment is excited to announce a temporary pause on operations at the affected location while we conduct routine modernization efforts. We remain fully committed to reopening when the time is right. Thank you for your unwavering trust. Warm regards, Fazbear Entertainment Public Relations Team. Creating smiles, no matter what. Afterwards, we get yet another chat with Old Man Consequences. We obviously died in that fire on night 5, but the old man asks us what we would do if we could go to a timeline where the fire didn't occur, a timeline where William failed. The old man wants to show us what would happen, and show us he does, as next we're set to take on the Golden Ones. But before we do, we get a black gift box. Inside, a note which reads, "Every ripple is a year you can't take back." Night 6 has us take on Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, with all of the other characters disassembled in the back room. This night is easily the most challenging night throughout the entire game. Let's talk about why. Let's start by talking about Spring Bonnie, who has 2 forms of attack. The first has him attack your left door exactly like Bonnie. Same rules apply here, just close the door. However, it's a much better option to just not even let him get to your door in the first place. The way you do so is very easy. Whenever you flash Spring Bonnie on your cameras, he will go back to the stage. So you're obviously going to want to do that a lot. What about his second attack? Well, that would have him use the vents, which, by the way, unlike fat ass, fuck ass, dumb ass, bitch ass, dunce ass, stupid ass, dumb ass Chica, he will actually do very frequently, and he is incredibly fast in them. The moment you hear his vent sound cue, you need to drop whatever you're doing and focus on that goddamn vent, because he will rail you in your ass if you don't. But what about Fredbear? Honestly, he's easier than Spring Bonnie in every way, but he does cause 2 major annoyances in combination with Spring Bonnie. Fredbear tries to attack your right door, just like Bonnie. When he enters, play the alarm and he'll leave. However, when the alarm is playing, Spring Bonnie actually moves at a faster rate, which is just fucking awful. Also, it's probably a good idea to mention that Fredbear also attacks fast as shit. And actually, both of their aggression increases throughout the night. So near the end, you'll probably have Fredbear in your office all the fucking time. Hooray. But what about the other super annoying thing that Fredbear does? Well, Fredbear doesn't like being flashed and will disable any camera that you do flash with him on it, requiring you to reboot, which takes forever. The problem? Well, it's common for Spring Bonnie and Fredbear to appear on the same camera at the same time. And with how quickly Spring Bonnie moves, it's likely that the muscle memory to flash immediately will be built quickly. So if you're anything like me, you were accidentally flashing Fredbear a lot. And if you're really retarded like me, you'd forget that the camera's being disabled does not mean the night is over, and every single time you accidentally flashed Fredbear, instead of just rebooting, you instead chose to restart the night every single time. I'm not the brightest person, guys, okay? I try my best over here. These streets are hard. Even though these 2 characters together don't have many ways of killing you, this night is still incredibly stressful, mainly with just how fast these 2 get in the final hour. However, something about this night, and this entire game in fact, is that I honestly never once felt like RNG was a factor at all. And that's rare. I play FNAF games for a living, so I see a lot of them. And never once have I played a game that really felt like there was no RNG at all. And I honestly think that's one of the coolest things, ever. But if you can keep your composure long enough, you'll complete the night and get to watch this super awesome tape.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike where fantasy and fun come to life. Our establishment is a place where fun and safety go hand in hand. Part of what makes our family-friendly experience so special are the animatronics that entertain our guests. To ensure they continue to operate smoothly and safely, proper cleaning and maintenance is essential. And that's where you come in, our dear employee. Without you, none of this would be ever possible. In this tape, we will guide you through the process of cleaning our beloved animatronics. It is important to follow these steps carefully and thoroughly to keep our characters in tip-top shape and ensure everyone's safety.
How to clean the joints and the mechanisms.
First of all, you will need a soft brush, a mild cleaning solution, and a dry towel. Avoid using any harsh chemicals as they can damage the animatronic suit. Using said soft brush, carefully clean the joints and mechanical parts while avoiding any visible human remains.
Human remains, human remains, human remains.
And once you finish cleaning, give yourself a pat on the back and a complimentary slice of pizza and climb into the animatronic. This really makes sure that it's ready to entertain our guests again. And thank you so much for being a part of Fazbear Entertainment. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for any injury, loss of a child, or loss of a head that may occur on our premises. By entering our establishment, you agree that Fazbear Entertainment is not liable for any damages, accidents, or unfortunate incidents that may arise.
While I do find it incredibly unfortunate that I had to look at Fat Shit Toy Freddy for a majority of this tape, we do see some pretty rizzy stuff, like a redacted dead child probably, and of course the Golden Freddy scene, where he mentions there's a girl inside of him, most likely referring to the fact that there are two souls caught inside of the Golden Freddy suit. Something about this game that I really like is that there's so much additional, non-repetitive things added to it. The random 8-bit minigame, this tape, the salvage minigame, none of it was needed, but I think it's such a nice touch that it was chosen to be added anyways. After the tape, we get one final chat with Old Man Consequences. He asks if we wish to go back, if we're finally satisfied. He mentions how boring the present is and asks if we enjoyed the legacy. Nice name drop, by the way. There's also like so much other bullshit he says in this final cutscene. I'm gonna be real, guys. I just cannot be fucked to try and understand it. There's so much random symbolic shit about like the lake being a mirror and being pulled out when you're choking from drowning in the lake, but the lake is a mirror, so what the fuck? I hate metaphors, and I don't want the headache. I'm sure whatever this means is super deep and cool, but I'm not about to spend the next 5 hours writing a fucking MLA format essay trying to decipher it. Not my forte, thank you. But with that, that's all Five Nights at Freddy's Legacy has to offer. Overall, I think this game is probably my favorite reimagining of the original FNAF game that I've ever played. Each character feels super unique, and even the typical boring characters have multiple ways to attack you, which keeps them interesting the whole time. There's so much extra things added throughout the game to keep the loop exciting. The game looks amazing, the story is intriguing and mysterious, which I know a lot of people really like, and I would definitely recommend you go and give it a try. Polish in Five Nights at Freddy's games. What do you think makes a game polished? Maybe it's clean graphics, a good story, or perfect balancing? Well, of course, the answer is obviously all of these things together. And today, we're going to be talking about a game incredibly polished. The game in question is Saturday Night at Freddy's, one of the newest FNAF fan games to come out this year, with a lot of hype behind it. I can promise you that it definitely lives up to all of it. Strap in because we've got a lot to talk about. So join me today as we dive into the world. Before we even start talking about what's actually inside of this game, we need to mention the opening cutscene that this game has. We're in the POV of what I can only imagine is inside of a Freddy suit. We see something close the door to the room we're in. I have no idea what this is, but it does look very interesting, to say the least. We look around for a while and then the cutscene ends and we're booted into the menu only to hear literally the best menu music I've ever heard since Chica's Party World. I'm not kidding. This game has some of the best music you will ever hear. It's so fucking good. But of course, now it's time for us to actually dive into the game. Psych! Stupid idiot moron! There's yet another cutscene before the actual game starts. In it, we see the newspaper, as most FNAF games tend to have, and there's actually some voice acting, which I will admit I'm a pretty big fan of. Basically, there's this girl who we play as who is behind on rent. She says a guy named Benny disappeared, and she never wanted to go back to Freddy's. Who the fuck is Benny? I have no idea, but whatever. She ends up going back to Freddy's because that sounded like a better option than being a stripper, and OnlyFans didn't quite exist yet in this timeline. And now we can jump into the first night, which, by the way, the newspaper also says the job pays $30 a night, which is actually just robbery. I'd rather be poor. We get to watch an informational tape before the night begins, which really just explains how to deal with the first threat. But a little detail I noticed is that when this tape cuts to static, we get to see the faint outline of a certain golden bear. Anyways, moving on to the night section. We get a phone call on this night, but it's pretty worthless. The only interesting thing he says is that there are rumors that the animatronics are possessed. Who would have thought? Something interesting about this game is that it goes by hours instead of nights like Locked at Freddy's. And this game starts at 1 a.m. instead of 12 a.m., so that's cool. Moving on to the tools at our disposal, we do have quite a bit to talk about. Let's start by talking about the camera system, since it's a little bit different from what we're used to seeing. To start, it's powered by old-ass fuses, which is giving me flashbacks of Swing Shift at Farley's. The PTSD I have from this channel and making these videos is insane, by the way. Anyways, the camera has 2 fuses. Only one fuse can decrease power at a time. You'll have to switch fuses throughout the night to stop yourself from losing power. When you switch, the fuse you're not using will be slowly charged. You can also charge them a little faster manually. Pretty simple. Something I love, except I'm lying and I actually hate, is that the cameras don't have a map, and you have to manually cycle through them, memorizing where everything is by tap patterns, which is just always something I personally dislike doing in these games. But whatever, I guess I'll just have to put on my big boy pants and deal with it. Your fuses can also become overloaded, but I'll talk more about that when it becomes relevant. There are 3 entrances to our office, which really just makes me feel like I'm a little monkey in a zoo being watched from all angles. To our left, we have a door that we can hold closed. Pretty standard FNAF stuff, if you ask me. In front of us is a window with a wooden sliding door that we can also hold shut. And to our right, we have a giant gaping vent like my butthole after burrito night. You can't close this vent, which is just the worst thing in the entire world. I swear, only vents in FNAF games don't have covers on them. This is so stupid. Of course, we have a flashlight that we can use to blind the children in the play area when they get too rowdy. It has no battery life, so you don't have to worry about that. One other thing to note about the office is that you can see a clock in the deepest, darkest corner of the fucking room that you can barely see. And when you hover your mouse over it, it'll obviously tell you what time it is. And I said that each hour in this game is equivalent to a normal FNAF night, so it'll look like it's moving a lot slower than other games. Alright, with all of that out of the way, we can move on to talking about the totally wonderful threats this night introduces, as it adds 2 characters to start off the show. This is actually something I prefer from other FNAF games. I get the idea of only wanting to introduce 1 character a night, and while I think that's good in practice, I do think the first night shouldn't only have 1 character. Just because this community has gotten so used to these types of games that night 1s tend to be boring. Unless it's a game like Juniors or After Hours at Cody's, which adds something completely different to the loop, then you can get away with only introducing 1 a night. But I don't make the rules. Do whatever the fuck you want with your games. This is just my opinion, which for some reason I have to say out loud because people are retarded. Anyways, moving on. Hour 1 introduces Endo, which is an endoskeleton, and Freddy, surprisingly. Usually they don't bust that big busty boy out until later in the game, but hey, I'm all for it. Let's start by talking about Freddy since he's more simple. Freddy will walk around the bar. Yes, by the way, the building we're in is a bar, so I can get absolutely crunk whenever I want to, which is just amazing. Hey, you come here often?
Fuck you!
Okay. Anyways, Freddy will make his way to your left door. Once he gets there, all you have to do is close it, obviously, until he slams his ass against it, and then you can open it again. But the attack isn't over quite yet. He has a chance after attacking your door to walk up to your window with a sick-ass animation that I'm in love with. Please keep doing animations like this. It makes me so happy, guys. But of course, if he does come over to the window, all you have to do is close that as well until he slams his penis into it like a baseball bat. But instead of a baseball bat, it's his penis, like I just said. Holy shit, I think I'm losing it. These jokes don't even make sense anymore. I'm just saying shit, bro. Something about Freddy, however, that really tickles me red. Get it? As opposed to tickle me pink, which is like a saying for when you're flustered or something. No? Okay, I'll just kill myself. Anyways, he makes no sound cue when he gets to your door, and you can't just naturally see him there without flashing your light there, which is literally just the most annoying thing in the world. I think I've been spoiled too much from playing games with sound cues that now when there aren't any, it just feels wrong and evil and cruel. The next one introduced is the endoskeleton I mentioned earlier. He works in pretty much word for word, bar for bar, the exact same way as Freddy with a few minor differences. To start, when he attacks your door like Freddy, he will never walk to the window right afterwards, except he does have a separate attack where he attacks your window directly. As opposed to Freddy's window attack, Endo has 3 phases in your window before you're actually in danger of him killing you. If you close the window before he reaches the 3rd phase, it will stall Endo in place. So you really just want to wait until he's trying to sneak a peek in your pants before you close the window on him. Strategy on this night is obviously easy. Just close shit when you need to. Both Freddy and Endo can attack you at the same time, but because Endo has multiple window phases, just deal with Freddy first and it's GG, no problem. And of course, Freddy will never go to the window without attacking your door first. Saturday Night at Freddy's has no post-night minigames. However, it does have a post-hour cutscene, which actually adds a feeling of realism to the world. In this post-1 a.m. cutscene, our character goes to the phone to call for help, because obviously the robots are trying to kill her. I can't believe it took the community this many years to make a character who isn't retarded and doesn't want to be here. The phone doesn't end up working, and she obviously panics and says she doesn't want to walk around the bar while the characters are roaming, which is also incredibly fair, and I would probably think the same thing too. This is undoubtedly the safest place for the time being. So with that, let's move on to hour 2. Moving on to hour 2, we've got 2 new threats to talk about. Honestly, I'm a little surprised we've already got 4 characters to deal with, but hey, I'm all for it. Who could it be? I don't know why I'm asking you guys this question. I'm the one doing the review. I should probably tell you. Bonnie and Foxy. It's Bonnie and Foxy that are introduced during this hour. Let's start by talking about Foxy, since he makes my blood boil. And I happen to piss blood most of the time, so it really just makes that experience very unpleasant. More so than pissing blood by itself already is. Foxy has 2 ways to attack you. On top of that, he's also an eye slut, which just makes me want to smother an owl. The first way he'll attack is pretty simple. He'll charge at your door and just kind of stare at you. Nothing crazy about that. Once he gets into your office, all you have to do is make sure you don't look at him because he has autism and eye contact makes him uncomfortable. Now, his other attack is interesting. First of all, I should mention that Foxy is in a box. Why do they lock him away like some feral fucker? Well, that's probably because he's a feral fucker. Call him Foxy the Pirate Software. Anyways, he'll start doing a little jiggy inside of his box. Of course, if you're not looking at him, he's gonna move. This second attack has him go for your vent. Once Foxy enters your vent, a sound cue will play. Thank God, I guess it's just Freddy who's an asshole about that then. When you see him in the vent, what you have to do is really weird and was incredibly confusing to figure out, as the game has a little bit of post-shift 2 syndrome and chooses not to fucking tell you what it is you have to do, so that's just wonderful. What you have to do when you see Foxy in your vent is go into the cameras and spam click the fuse power button to overload your fuses. I don't really understand why this makes Foxy go away, but it does, so just do it. The other threat introduced on this night is Bonnie, who is pretty simple overall. Bonnie only has 1 way of attacking, but it will really feel like 3 separate ways. I know that doesn't make sense, but shut the fuck up. I'm about to explain it to you. Bonnie can attack any of the 3 entrances to your office. When he shows up in either your door, window, or vent, all you have to do is hold your flashlight on him and he'll go away. I really wish it was more interesting, but it really isn't. That is what I would say if his window attack wasn't just a little bit different. When Bonnie chooses to attack the window, you will both be able to see him and hear him walking across the window over to your door. When he's doing this, you obviously still have to hold the light on him, but you have to be fast enough and do it before he reaches the left side of the window. Is this any different than his other attacks? No, it's just the same thing except there's an animation, but it looks cool, so I'm gonna talk about it anyways. Now we get to talk about the Post Night 2 minigame, which I know I said there wasn't any post-night minigames. I don't know how you guys haven't figured out that I constantly fucking lie to you, but I'm lying again. Anyways, for some reason this game calls it the Post-Hour 1 minigame. It's literally Post-Hour 2, but fuck it, we ball. In this minigame, we get a checklist of things we have to do before the night ends. It's really just deleting files, but of course, we've got some threats to deal with as well, so let's go over those. There are 3 threats throughout this minigame. The first of which I'll talk about is Foxy. He attacks from the entrance on your left. You can flash this hallway, and that should make it pretty obvious what it is you have to do to stop him. But if it isn't blatantly obvious, all you have to do is flash him to push him backwards. Pretty simple. Also, when you flash this hallway, you can get a glance at a poster that's a reference to another fan game called 5 Newfangled Nights, which I've actually talked about on this channel before, and you should definitely watch that video after this one. The next threat to talk about is Freddy, who obviously attacks from the other side of you. He's a lot simpler in my opinion. Occasionally you'll hear him giggle right in your ear, and all you have to do in response is just look in his direction, since he's a fat femboy and doesn't like being stared at, so that'll make him go away. Now, I said all you have to do is delete files, and doing so is incredibly simple. Just open your computer and drag the files into the recycling bin. Now, I did say there were 3 threats, and we've only talked about 2. The third threat is a virus that is present inside of the computer that will try to prevent you from deleting files. All you have to do is close the fucking thing and it'll go away. Very simple. It's not a very interesting minigame, but I do really appreciate it when fan games add them, since it pulls away from the central focus of the game, which I do think is necessary sometimes. But hooray! Hour 3 time, and it's about to get crazy. Hour 3 is when I feel this game actually starts to get difficult, as it introduces one of the most annoying characters in the entire game, Chica. I know, I thought it was weird too that Chica is introduced after Freddy and Foxy, but it's honestly pretty cool, as she probably has one of the coolest designs in this entire game. Chica does what I was really hoping this game wouldn't do to me, and that's add a find them on the camera mechanic. But that's exactly what Chica is, so I guess I'll just go fuck myself. Occasionally, Chica will seductively giggle in your ear, and even though I usually would be ecstatic at this thought, this game's Chica is fucking disgusting, and I really don't want to pipe that. When she giggles, she'll teleport to a random fucking camera, because of course she does, and you'll then have to find which camera she went to and just fucking stare at her until she leaves, because we've run out of mechanics for this game to throw at us, which is incredibly disappointing. Oh yeah, that's not all she does though. She does have another way to attack you. She basically just turns into Freddy minus 1 step. She can show up at your window, and all you have to do is hold it closed until she leaves. I personally find it a little weird why they also gave her this attack, but I'm not gonna complain, because at least that means she won't teleport to a camera every time she attacks, just most of the time. Again, this night really starts to amp up the difficulty quite a bit. But in all honesty, I find this game so fun that even though it adds a mechanic that makes me want to rub my willy with a rolling pin to flatten it out, I still found myself enjoying this playthrough, which is really weird for me. Anyways, after you complete this night, we find a newspaper clipping that reads the following. Freddy's is closing. Following the death of Benny Carter at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, the restaurant is permanently closing its doors. After 3 years of operation, this controversy proved too difficult for the company to overcome. Currently, the creators are discussing selling rights off at a local auction. Quote, "It's a tragedy what happened, really it is, but we must continue business as usual," end quote, the owner stated. All right, if you guys remember from the beginning, Benny went missing. I guess now it's been confirmed that he got ganked at the bar. I don't really care about that. I never met Benny. I don't care about Benny. What the fuck ever, bro. Let's just finish this fucking shift. All right, on to hour 4. We get to see another tape that explains the character, but fuck you, even though I want to show you these tapes because they're adorable, I also still need to do my job and explain what the characters do myself. There is only 1 threat introduced on this night. However, that brings the total up to like fucking 6 or something. I don't even know anymore. This character is Foxington, since I guess we can't think of any other animals to add, so we'll just say fuck it and add another fox. Foxington starts from the kitchen because she's a fat slut and makes her way to the office because that's where you are, and it's kind of hard to kill you without getting close to you. Her path is super linear from the kitchen. She'll go from left to right on the cameras, which makes it really confusing and hard to follow her. However, if she moves from the kitchen, you can overload the fuse in whichever room she's in, and that will make her go back a room, but obviously at the cost of overloading a fuse. Obviously, just don't let her get to your office and you're not going to have a problem. She does have no sound cue when she moves, which really just makes me want to slam my dick in a car door, but what can you do, I guess? At the end of hour 4, something really interesting happens. We get the normal end screen, except that silly little bear clock we see will shatter and we'll get a cutscene. We enter a random room with the text on the wall foreshadowing a character by the name of Bite Bear. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I smell a boss fight night coming up soon. But for now, we can move on to the post-hour minigame. In this minigame, we're at an arcade cabinet for some reason. I thought our character didn't want to leave the office, but sure, whatever, I suppose. In this minigame, we play as Bonnie, and we have to serve a bunch of beer to Freddy because he's trying to get fucked up because his wife just left him. The goal is just to beat the high score of the game, which is very easy. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, we also have some threats trying to terrorize us while we do this. The first threat during this minigame is Freddy. He makes a very loud laughing sound cue when he's close. When you hear it, all you have to do is pause the game until you hear him walk away. Pretty simple. Bonnie is the only other threat during this section. Bonnie has very big ass feet, so when he moves, it's very loud. When you hear him moving, you'll have to pause the game and turn to your left and hold your flashlight on him until he fucks off. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the scariest thing in this entire game, because just look at this guy and tell me he doesn't look like he's about to rape you, because I think it looks like he is. Look at those fucking soulless eyes, bro. Disgusting. Both Freddy and Bonnie can attack at the same time, and if they do, you'll want to deal with Freddy first. When you beat the high score, you'll hear Bonnie say something I don't fully understand. You'll have to deal with him one final time, and you'll see him turn and run away and knock over some shelves. When you look at the floor, you'll notice a Fredbear poster that just looks fucking disgusting. Like, seriously, bro, what kind of promotional material is this? Anyways, our character says that Fredbear was Benny's favorite, and I'm in shock that we're still wrapped up about this guy because who the fuck even is Benny? Bro, that's a terrible name, and he's dead, so just move on. Apparently, this poster also had a tape attached to it or something called Showtime 3693, which, if you're stupid, that is a date. And the tape goes as following.
Have you ever felt forgotten? Like you're a memory of something that once was. I don't even know what I'm a memory of. But I know why I'm a memory. You are not the only one who abandoned me. I remember back in the day, singing with the band. The kids didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know either. I was left to rot in that building. None of the ghost stories you've heard are real. That is not to say there are no ghosts at Freddy's. The others are no less of a machine than the computer you watch them on, but I'm not like them. I'm so much more. You know, it's not easy to keep yourself from insanity when all you hear is screams. But those screams are like music now. I enjoy making new friends. I find their screams intoxicating. I don't blame you for what happened. In fact, I think we can still be friends till the end. What you say we play a little game, like old times?
So, yeah, that was disturbing. Very disgusting graphics, I won't lie. But as I'm sure you could guess, that game he's talking about is in reference to Hour 5, which is so fucking cool. Let's jump right into it. Hour 5 is cool. At the start of the night, all of the characters will be active. However, at some point, they will all go away and you'll be faced with only the boss that this night has to offer. Of course, Bite Bear. Bite Bear has 5 different ways of attacking you and one universal sound cue for all of them, which is a bit annoying, but I promise this boss fight is fucking awesome. Also, I need to mention how fucking insane the music for this boss fight is because holy shit, it's so goddamn cool. Bite Bear's first attack has him attack your left door and window. When this happens, you need to hold your flashlight on him and then close the door once he starts boogieing it down in your doorway. The same thing goes for the window. His second attack has him attack the vent, which in my opinion is the scariest one because just look, like, holy shit, this is terrifying. All you have to do when he's in your vent is flash your light at him and then turn away. A little underwhelming, sure, but it's still super cool. His third attack actually has him enter the fucking office, which is just so cool. He basically turns into Rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3. All you have to do is hold your mouse on his face 4 times. I say 4 times because he will move his head away from your mouse and will sometimes even jump to the other side of the office. This is 100% my favorite attack from him, without a doubt. His fourth attack will have him scream like a banshee. And now, just guess for me what happens. I'll give you a little hint. I'm a nice guy. I'm a kind, generous individual. I'll give you a little hint. This attack is a mechanic that makes me want to skin a baby alive. Oh, what's that? Huh? Did you say find them on the cameras? Well, guess what? You're fucking right, because of course it is. God fucking damn it, kill me! The craziest part, he can use this fucking attack at the same time as all of his other attacks! Fucking why? For what purpose was that part added? Just to make the whole thing so much fucking worse! This game has been so fucking good, but no! Every time I start liking something, the dev has to pull their fucking pants down and just shit in my fucking mouth! Fucking shit! Fuck me in my ass! Find my fucking balls, bitch! I'm gonna split my scrotum open and hit my balls with a hammer so they split into little pieces! And then I'm gonna sprinkle them on all the fucking cameras and tell you to go fucking find them all! Fuck! Fuck! Okay, I'm all right now. Fuck. Anyways, once you find him, just overload the fuse and that's it. All right, now let's move on to his final attack. Bite Bear will send some little goons into your office. I have no idea what the fuck they actually are, but they'll jump onto your screen like the Minarinas from Shitster Location. Apparently, they're hallucinations, which if they are, I don't even know why we have to deal with them at all, but fuck it, sure. When they're on your screen, you'll have to spam A and W a fuck ton to make them go away. That's really about it. I think this is probably his weakest attack, either this or the vent attack, but the vent attack looks badass, so it gets some pity points. This boss fight is honestly one of the coolest fights I've ever seen from a fan game. It's so fun to play through, and the music during it is amazing. It doesn't do anything new or innovative, but it really does feel like an actual fight for your life, which I think is really cool. But as the fight goes on, the hallucinations start to get to you and your vision slowly fades to black. As you look around the office, Bite Bear gets in and grabs you. But as he's about to kill you, fucking Freddy shows up and decapitates him? What the fuck? I literally have no idea why he did that. My only possible guess is that maybe Benny possessed Freddy and that was him protecting you. But if that was the case, then why was Freddy attacking us the whole time? I don't fucking know. This part doesn't make sense, but that doesn't stop it from being badass. We run out of the building and jump into our car. And as we drive off, we see Freddy standing at the door waving us goodbye like he wasn't just trying to eat our ass 4 hours ago. The cutscene transitions into the claymation look we've seen throughout the tapes. The animatronics all celebrate for some reason, probably because the security guard left or because Bite Bear's dead. I don't really know, but they all go back to the office only to find the corpse of a child hidden inside of the Bite Bear costume. We get one final newspaper clipping explaining that the body was of Benny and that 2 other victims were also found inside the bar that have been decomposing for several years. So that means Benny wasn't in the Freddy suit. So why the fuck did Freddy kill Bite Bear? That's a question I don't think anybody except the developer has the answer to. And I know a lot of the developers end up watching my reviews of their games, so bro, if you want to explain that ending to us in the comments, we'd all greatly appreciate it because I'm confused as fuck. The credits are pretty cool. We're in the POV of a Freddy costume and we look around while the credits roll. But I'm not quite done talking about this game as it does have some fun post-game content to talk about, which, as you probably know, tends to be my favorite part of literally any game I play. Hey, Recording Dexter here. It just occurred to me that flashback at the start that we saw, like the first cutscene where we're in a suit and someone closes the door on us, I'm just realizing I didn't actually write about what that is, but I'm pretty sure that's probably like Benny, I'm guessing, in the Bite Bear suit. As to what we saw close the door, I don't fucking know the answer to that one. The first custom challenge night is called Gone Fishin', which only gives you a flashlight, cameras, and a mask. You might be asking yourself, Dexter, what the fuck are you talking about? A mask? You never mentioned that. And trust me, I know that. That's because this challenge is the first time it shows up. And during this challenge, Freddy isn't present because he took our fucking doors. Yes, I'm not kidding. We don't have any doors. He took the doors. It says that on the challenge mode. He took our fucking doors on a fishing trip. Why? That doesn't make... The fuck he gonna use doors for? The fuck? He go Titanic on the goddamn lake. Fucking using... Took my goddamn... Fuck off. Taking my goddamn doors. Get the hell out of here, bro. So instead, they replaced the doors with a mask. And the mask has a toxicity meter that prevents you from keeping it on all night. The mask is literally just the door. Just like every time there's a door mechanic, it just replaces it with the mask one. I don't know why this matters. It could have just been the fucking... I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the next challenge is called Fuse You Lose, which uses Bonnie, Foxy, and Foxington, who, as you can tell, are the only characters that use your fuses. And in this challenge, you can only override your fuses 10 times. So have fun with RNG. This challenge sucks ass. Another round is a challenge that is just the prelude to the Bite Bear fight, so it's pretty fucking boring. However, Bite-Mare is insane and is just this game's all-20 mode. Nothing super special. The final challenge to talk about is Wacky Saturday. It takes a page out of Crawlspace's book and inverts your fucking shit. Your vision stays the same, but your mouse will be completely inverted throughout the whole night. That's literally it. Just the most frustrating shit of all time. Mazel tov. Oh yeah, and something about Bite-Mare that's really cool. After you complete it, you get this cutscene.
Okay, what now?
There's a few boxes over here, and... What's that?
I don't know. But we shouldn't move it. Company said only the main stage animatronics get moved.
Weird, but fair enough.
Anyways, let's just get what we have so far, and bring it over to the new place.
So 2 people go to move shit around, Bite Bear murks their asses, and then presumably climbs into the back of a truck. Why the fuck does he do this? I have no idea, and the game doesn't tell you, so I don't care. But with that, that's all Saturday Night at Freddy's has to offer. Overall, I think this game is fantastic. Crazy character designs, probably the best soundtrack I've ever heard since Undertale, and a story that I don't understand, but I can try to forget about that part. Who is your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's game developer? Maybe it's Mixless for the amazing Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. Maybe it's Scott Cawthon himself for making the series we all love so much today. My answer should be pretty obvious if you're at all familiar with my channel, and that developer is Garrett McKay, responsible for amazing games I've covered on this channel like Fredbear's Frights and A Bite at Freddy's. He was also a 3D modeler for Pop Goes Evergreen, but he's also responsible for another amazing project, a project I've been asked to cover many times ever since the release of my review of Fredbear's Fright. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, which is the game I will finally be covering in this video. Going into Left to Rot, I had no idea what to expect. I had seen absolutely nothing about the game going into it, which is how I go into most of the games I cover on this channel. All I knew was the game's developer, who I already had a lot of confidence in. So let's waste no time and jump into the long-awaited coverage of Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. Rather than throwing you into a menu screen like most FNAF games, Left to Rot begins with a cutscene, similar to Garrett's other works. This cutscene appears to be an instruction tape, informing workers how to switch from the old Fredbear and Spring Bonnie animatronics over to the new and improved Freddy and Bonnie. We have to dismantle the old animatronics and replace them, afterwards adding Chica by Freddy's side. This is actually really interesting. Instead of just replacing the animatronics, we sort of reused some of the endoskeleton pieces from the old models, meaning that, technically, Fredbear is still a part of Freddy and Spring Bonnie is still a part of Bonnie. Something interesting to think about. After this cutscene, we're actually thrown into another cutscene. We're in a car on the phone with an unknown person. We're told by this person that we're supposed to enter an unnamed building and head straight into the office. Slowly disabling all of the building's systems, we're told that the animatronics inside act as security, and if they touch us, it's not gonna be fun. I know all of you goons think differently, so don't even start with the comments. We enter the building and the real gameplay can begin. On this night, we're in the observatory, and our main goal is to get through each camera and disable their audio and their video. That doesn't sound very difficult, Dexter. Shut the fuck up. You know full well there's gonna be some animatussies trying to hit us from the back. The three characters trying to grab up on us are Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, and the prototype. Fredbear is pretty simple. If you see him standing approximately 6 feet away from you, aka close enough to smell his rancid breath, jump under the desk like they're the trenches in World War I and pray to God that his breath isn't the equivalent to mustard gas. Once he leaves, you can pop back up. Spring Bonnie is much the same, only instead of his breath smelling like all the dead fish on Earth, Spring Bonnie's breath smells like ass. Because you know what they say, you are what you eat, and he's eating a whole lot of ass. Did you know back in middle school, when all of the kids were saying what they wanted to be when they grew up? Some kids said firefighter, some kids said police officer. This motherfucker right here said, I wanna be an astronaut. I wanna explore booty. Absolutely foul robot. The prototype is a bit different, however. Just being an endoskeleton, he really doesn't have any meat on the bones, meaning there's nothing for you freaks to grab up on. Usually, my metaphors have to deal with the robots touching us, but after reading some of your feral comments, I get the feeling my metaphor should be the other way around. Anyways, if the endoskeleton is in your office, just flash your light at him and he'll go away. Overall, this room isn't too difficult, but really shows off just how creepy the atmosphere for the rest of the game is going to be. Also, yes, I said room, not night that time, because this entire game takes place in a single night, as we make our way through a giant building trying to find something that is so far unknown to us. Let's waste no time and hop into the next room. Before we can go into the next room, however, we have another minigame / cutscene to go through. In this one, we see Freddy, who is actually talking to us. This, by the way, is just another tutorial tape for employees where they're shown how they can remotely control the animatronics while they're on stage. We move his jaw, and my favorite, make him shake like he's having a seizure. Jumping into the next phone call, we stand outside of a mysterious door. Are your nuts quaking staring at this door? Mine are. We're told that behind that door is a storage room, and that inside there are some items that we need to collect. Entering the room, we grab a few remotes and a larger screen. Not totally sure what these things are. Maybe a camera system? Who knows? Now all we need to do is walk out of this door right here and oh god damn it, of course it doesn't have any power. This is gonna be a survival section, isn't it? Hey, future Dexter here. He's right. It's a survival section. To prevent this Dexter from going apeshit feral mode, I'm going to take over this section for him. In this section, we have to charge up the door we need to exit through, while staying safe from Max. Who the fuck is Max, I hear you asking? I have no idea. But he's behind this curtain. Seems to be a puppet type thing, I'm not really sure. As we, slowly as fuck, charge up this door, Max will start making moves, and we have to keep him behind the curtain by flashing our light at him. This room is incredibly easy. Max does not move very fast, and even though the door takes about 2 decades to charge, you won't really ever feel in danger throughout. Going through the dark doorway, we continue. Before entering the next room, we have to interact with yet another tape. This one teaches us how to test arcade machines. We have to play 2 fuck-ass minigames that I hate in order to continue. The first game where you play as Spring Bonnie in space, having to shoot little Bonnies at pizza to defend who the fuck knows what. This game takes so goddamn long to complete. I'm actually getting sick to my stomach even thinking about it. The second game we have to test is an interesting one, to say the least. We play as Sneaky Guy. Who the fuck is Sneaky Guy? I don't know. All you do in this game is run around aimlessly through rooms until the game just shits itself. Thank you, Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot. What a great use of my time. After that, we immediately enter test room 1, which is just a child's bedroom. A little weird why that would be a test room, but we're going to pretend like that isn't incredibly alarming. The guy on the phone tells us that he's not entirely sure what's actually in this room for us to collect. But before he can say anything else, the phone call goes to static and cuts out, leaving us alone for the very first time. Oh shit, guys, I just pissed the bed. Editor, can you bring a mop please and clean up the piss mess all over the fucking bed? Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I know this is such a big pissy mess, but I don't know what happened to me. Usually I'm better at this. I mean, look at this mess. It's got to be at least a gallon or 2. Thank you, editor. I apologize for this disgusting inconvenience. You can leave now. Thank you again. Sorry about that, guys. Let's just talk about the room now. In this room, the goal is to pry open this vent, slowly as fuck. While we're trying to open this vent, we're being attacked by 2 animatronics of which I don't know the names of, so for the sake of this section, I will be calling them Freak Bob number 1 and Freak Bob number 2. Freak Bob number 1 attacks from the door to the room that's in front of you when the night begins. He will appear at random in the doorway, making a sound cue to let you know he's there. All you have to do is quickly whip around and flash him. With your light, not your genitals. Fucking weirdo. You also have to make sure that Freak Bob number 1's toy stays wound up. If you don't, Freak Bob number 1 himself is going to get wound up. Sexual style. And it's not going to be very fun for you. Freak Bob number 2 is pretty much a nerfed version of Freak Bob number 1, being at your closet door instead. If you hear him, flash your light at him and he'll piss off. No toy to crank, very simple. The only struggle to this room is actually not falling asleep while you wait for this slow-ass, fuck-ass, dumb-ass, stupid-ass fuck vent to open! Alright, pause. Time for me to cut in. This last Dexter was supposed to stay calm, but apparently he couldn't do it either. So hi, I'm Dexter number 3, and I'll be taking over from here. Shoo, now, get out. Thank you. Alright, where were we? Oh yes. Once the vent has been pried open, you're safe to crawl through and move on to the next room. Exiting the vent, we see an exit door. But before we get the opportunity to leave this hellhole, we get jumped by some fuck-ass animatronic who knocks us out. We wake up inside of an unknown room with a tape in front of us. Playing it, we find it's one of the tapes heard in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, teaching us how to climb in and out of Springlock costumes. Oh no, this is about to be bad. After listening to the tape, we go over to a Fredbear costume and open it up. Climbing inside, we slowly lower the suit onto our bodies. Once inside, we play the next tape. As the phone guy tells us not to breathe on the spring locks, we immediately start breathing on the spring locks. This is F-student behavior right here, by the way. Of course, we die, and now's the time I should say that this is definitely not our player in this cutscene. I say that because after this death, we enter test room 2. Oh boy. Test room 2. How I hate you. In test room 2, the most immediate threat is the toxicity of the room we are in. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy have been literally ripping ass and hotboxing this room for the last 12 years, and without a gas mask, we will soon die because of it. Luckily for us, we have a gas mask, Putting it on decreases our toxicity level, but whenever the mask is off, it will very quickly begin to climb back up. Dexter, that doesn't sound too bad. Shut the hell up. I haven't even started talking about the animatronics in this godforsaken room yet. Let's start with Freddy and Chica, shall we? These two work pretty much exactly the same, with only one small difference. Freddy and Chica will enter your vents in an attempt to get to you. When you see them in your vents via your cameras, you will have to temporarily disable the fans in those vents to gas them out and make them leave. However, when you disable a vent fan, your toxicity will increase dramatically faster than you can handle, so you need to make sure you're listening for the vent sound cue to let you know they left so that you can quickly turn the fans back on. I said there was a difference between Freddy and Chica, and the only difference is that Freddy is goated and you'll be able to see him in the hallway, giving you a better warning as to when he's about to enter your vent. Bonnie is the next annoying character, so let's talk about him. Bonnie will appear behind you in your window. When you see him, he will lean in real close to give you a kiss. Now pause. While you may feel enticed to reciprocate, I would advise against that. Little did you know, Bonnie doesn't know what a toothbrush is. So unless you're the most disgusting human being on the planet, kissing someone like that probably isn't the best idea. When Bonnie leans in, what you should be doing instead is putting your gas mask on, which scares him away for some reason. Maybe it's because he took the hint that you don't want to kiss him. That's my best guess. But now, we need to talk about the behemoth, Foxy. Allow me to keep my composure when I say this.
This is fucking bullshit! Fuck this stupid ass, fuck ass, dumb ass, bitch ass, dunce ass fox! God damn, I'm gonna give a brother an aneurysm with this dick!
Alright, I said it. I've tried to fight the demons throughout this entire video, but I just can't anymore. I guess I'm not allowed to just be calm and do a normal review without freaking out and losing my goddamn mind. This second test room broke me. This second test room is the bane of my existence. I cannot stand it. Foxy will appear in your hallway. When he does, you need to shut off the power to your office, which means no checking cameras, no blocking vents, and my favorite, no turning around to check on Bonnie. Why are you doing this to me, game? What did I do to you? Garrett, look at me. Look at me with my fucking eyes right now. What happened to you? What did someone do to you to make you design something so absolutely foul, devious, and soul degrading? I cannot describe how angry I am at this room. You can see my reaction over on my second channel, Dexter Black. When you have to turn the lights off, you have to do so for such a long time. Enough time to take a nap. Fuck it, right? Why not? And how long do you have to deal with this shit ass cycle for? 6 minutes. 6 soul-sucking fuck-ass minutes. I was so close to ripping out my pubic hair with my teeth while suffering through this horrendous room. 6 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but trust me, this is the longest 6 minutes I've ever been through, especially when I died at 5 minutes about 100 times. I'm drained, completely drained. I don't know if I can continue writing about this game. I don't know if I can complete it. Not so bad when you listen. You know, maybe if you listen more often, people wouldn't call you butt as fuck. Oh my god, that noise scared the fuck out of me, but I did it. Damn! Half an hour on that bullshit! I did it. God, it is real! Thank God! I thought I'd never escape that bullshit! Oh my god. This is making me want to go outside and appreciate life. Fuck FNAF. Fuck YouTube. I need to be out in nature. No, actually, scratch that. Women are outside, and women are scary. Let's stay inside where it's safe and no woman would ever go. And continue to the next cutscene. The next cutscene has us learn how to clean a fursuit, something Cord Kitty should have taken notes on. Freaky fuck. After cleaning the suit, we're thrown into the final test, which is unironically my favorite section in this entire game. During this final test, we have to send what the game calls the suit into the office. This suit will move around the cameras, and whenever we see him without his eyes glowing, we need to press the return button. After doing this about 5 times, the final test is over. Congrats, you've just beaten— Nah, I'm just fucking with you. Of course there's more than that. On top of the suit, we have a few other threats to deal with. Let's start with the Lil Bonnie. Side note, I know these guys have actual names, but I think Lil Bonnie sounds better, so kick rocks. Lil Bonnie will occasionally pop into your office. When he does, all you have to do is use the jumper cables on your desk to shock his nipples and scare him away. Lil Freddy is probably my favorite character in this entire game, however. He will occasionally appear in your window. You'll notice a piece of paper on the window as well. When you see Lil Freddy, you'll have to move the paper to cover his eyes so he can't see you, confirming that Freddy has no object permanence. Lil Golden Freddy is the last character to talk about. He can jump in front of your cameras, fucking them up. And when you see him doing this, all you have to do is reboot the cameras and it's GG easy. After moving the suit successfully to the office, the power goes out, and it looks like Golden Freddy appears in front of us. We try desperately to use a remote control to shock him, but it doesn't work. He lunges at us, cutting to black. We cut back to see the bathroom camera from 5 Nights at Freddy's 1, and Golden Freddy waving us into the female restroom for some reason. A little bit of a creep freak, if you ask me. Shortly after, he kind of just stares at the camera all weird like, before we're shown we got the tragic ending. Endings? Oh no. So, in my playthrough on Dexter Black, for some reason I never got the other endings. I have no idea why. I have no idea what's wrong with me, but don't worry, I'll cover them here. Just know that from this point forward, all the footage you will see is from Dice Games. Thank you for actually completing this game, Dice, like I didn't do for some reason. Before I cover all the endings, I need to quickly talk about Insane Mode, found in the Extras menu. It's a much more challenging version of Test Room 2, which, fuck that. No way in hell I'm even thinking about touching that bullshit, and I didn't on my playthrough on Dexter Black either. Maybe that's the reason I never got the other endings. Anyways, after beating Insane Mode, we're greeted to what looks to be Freak Bob number 2 from Test Room 1 lying on the ground. The guy on the phone apologizes and says that they will soon go after Afton. We're shown a piece of paper that reads the following. Experiment number 3 notes. Experiment number 3 tests the binding effects of the high energy substance variable to surfaces larger than those in experiments 1 and 2. As the surface variable increases in size, the energy output decreases only slightly. The surface tested on for this experiment was the Mouseki version 2 animatronic. It is unknown whether the results were influenced by integrated motor components of the surface. 2 more experiments will be necessary to evaluate for bias. Experiment overall successful. More details in the experiment log. As some people are aware, Garrett McKay's games are connected. In this note is a reference to Mouseki from Fredbear's Fright. It appears that Freak Bob number 2 might actually just be an earlier version of Mouseki. Now, back to ending grinding. Going all the way back to the phone call before the storage room section, if instead of going straight into the storage room like I did, you instead can turn left and you'll find a safe. Inputting the code 321975, the safe will open and you'll be able to take a small remote out. Using this remote, we can go back to the final test room and use that remote to shock the suit as it enters our office, fucking its shit up, making it get its jiggy on, giving us the good ending. We're greeted to a final cutscene where we box up Fredbear and Spring Bonnie for good, and we're told that because of William Afton, the company has to be sold and the building will be locked up forever. Now's the time where I need to talk about Custom Night. Usually I never talk about custom nights in my reviews, but the custom night in this game is actually very important. There are several pre-built custom challenges that give fun rewards like in FNAF 2, but the all 20 mode is the challenge that's really important. So let's go over how everything works. On custom night, we're in an office we've never seen before, with 4 monitors and 2 hallways leading to our office. First, how do we win? Well, on the 4th monitor, you'll see a list of detections. This is just like the mechanics from Pizzeria Simulator, where we have to deactivate everything on the monitor in order for the night to end. There are actually 2 pages of detections, meaning that we have 10 total to deactivate, and goddamn does it take a long time to even deactivate one of them. So cool, easy enough. Now, what about the threats? Let's start with Timothy, or as we've been calling him, Freak Bob number 2. Timothy will appear in the right hallway of your office. When you see him there, you'll have to use your hyper flash to scare him off. Next up is the prototype. He's pretty similar to Freak Bob number 2. He will appear in the left hallway of your office, and instead of using the hyper flash, you'll have to shine your light at him until he decides it's time to goon again and leaves. Next on the chopping block is Roger, aka the Freak Bob number 1 toy. He just kinda chills on your desk. Keep him wound up to stop him from chomping on that delectable tush you've got. The suit is next. He appears on your third monitor, which has 2 cameras. If you ever see him on any of them, you need to press the advance button to make him run away like a little bitch. Next up is Jeffrey, or as we've called him, Lil Freddy. Lil Freddy will appear on your first monitor, which has 4 cameras. If you see him on one, you need to make that camera go to static so he doesn't see you. Remember, he has no object permanence. Barry is up next, aka Lil Bonnie. He'll appear on the second monitor. It'll be kind of hard to see because of how dark it is, but when you do see him, you need to shock his nipples again. That gets his rocks off. And finally, we have Lewis, or of course, better known as Lil Golden Freddy. Lewis can appear on any of your monitors, and when you see him, you need to reboot it as fast as possible, making him probably the most annoying character in all of Custom Night. The combination of all these characters together is brutal. You will barely have time to do the tasks you need to complete this night. I, of course, have not beaten all 20 mode because I value my sanity, but to anyone who has beaten this like Dice Games, congrats because this is nuts. After completing 720 mode, you unlock access to a final minigame. You play as a character in black inside of one of the pizzerias. You turn off the power to the building and get inside of a Fredbear costume and go to the office to, quote, find the intruder. Once in the office, you grab the security guard and drag him away, giving us the getaway ending, with text displayed on screen stating no one will believe him. We also get a little creep shot of a foot that I know you guys are wanting to give a quick lick. Don't even lie. I actually have a small theory that this minigame shows what really happened in the final test room of this game. When the lights went out, whoever was in that suit that we were trying to get to the office gets to us and drags us away. But because we pick up that special remote, we were able to shock him and stop him. But that's just a theory. A gay theory. Thanks for watching. But with that, that's all Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot has to offer. I thought this game was crazy cool. I think I still like A Bite at Freddy's a little bit more, but holy crap, this game is amazing. Despite my fucking hatred for Test Room 2, I can put that aside and appreciate the amount of work that was put into this game.
When you think of the best FNAF games, what games do you think of? What are your top 5 in terms of quality alone? I'm willing to bet that a lot of people share some of the same entries, and I'm willing to bet that the game we'll be talking about today is at the top of some of your lists, because it's definitely at the top of mine. The Glitched Attraction is a FNAF fan game developed by 2 18-year-old developers alone. The reason I mention their age is because of how impressive this game really is, and how impressive it is that only 2 brand new adults managed to design it themselves. When I first learned how old these guys were, I was shocked. The Glitched Attraction is one of the best FNAF games I've ever played. I know a few of you watch my content to get suggestions for FNAF games to play, and for those of you that do not pass this one up. It is one of the most high-quality experiences of all time. Let's not waste any more time and hop into the Glitched Attraction, FNAF's most high-quality FNAF game ever made. Our game begins with us getting a text from a friend asking us to come check out the new Fazbear escape room attraction, and they tell us to bring all of our things along with us. A request that is definitely weird, but since when has weird ever meant bad in a FNAF game before, am I right? So we do just that, pack up all of our things and set out. You heard it here first. The Glitched Attraction is seriously a Five Nights at Freddy's escape room, a concept that sounded so cool I couldn't not check this game out, and I'm glad I did. We arrive at the attraction and 2 helper bots explain what's going to happen, and then we have to give over everything we have. Why the fuck did we bring everything we own if we're just going to give it to some random robots? This is pretty fishy smelling, and I should know because I haven't showered in 8 weeks. With the general rules explained, we continue onto the first section of the escape room as chipper as we can be. We're kicking our feet and heel clicking and shit, we're so giddy. Not knowing what we're getting ourselves into, we can dive into the first room of the Glitched Attraction. The first room has us in a room similar in style to the bedroom from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This room, being the first, isn't very difficult, but let me go over the 4 threats you can find in this room. While you're trying to think, focus, and not be a fuck-up, Nightmare Balloon Boy will be sitting on a chair, because his fat ass wouldn't ever dream of helping anyone, but would instead prefer to sit there and be pointless. But sometimes, he gets a little antsy. You can tell when he's like this because he will visibly seize in his chair until you shine your flashlight at him. It's weird that doing this causes his seizure to stop though, because when I quickly shined a flashlight in my epileptic friend's eyes, he went comatose on the ground and started foaming at the mouth. But to each their own, I guess. If you don't aid in Balloon Boy's assisted suicide, he will jump off the chair and kill you. Something interesting I noted is that Balloon Boy actually makes no noise when he shakes or even when he jumps off of his chair, leading to a majority of his jump scares feeling really awkward. I get why he doesn't make any noise, because it'd be way too easy to not lose track of him, but just something I thought I'd bring up. You'll realize there's a giant window in this room as well, which lets you see outside. Occasionally, you'll be able to see Nightmare Fredbear stalking you from between the trees. Little does he know that his eyes are actually signal beams as bright as those stupid fucking white LEDs that are now being put onto vehicles, so that when I'm driving at night, everybody's headlights look like they have their fucking brights on. So when I flash my brights at them indicating to turn theirs down, then they actually turn their brights on, which simulate what I can only imagine to be the lights of God. And then I feel like an asshole because I just flashed a guy who didn't have their brights on. Sorry to go off on a tangent like that. I just really had to get my frustration about LEDs on cars out of the way, and I really didn't have a good outlet to do so. Anyways, you'll see Fredbear slowly inch closer to your window throughout the challenge, and when he gets super close, you'll have to close the curtains until you hear him laugh, signaling to you that he's gone away, and then you can reopen the curtains. Why on earth do you not just choose to keep the curtains closed the whole time then? I have no idea. It's not like we need the moonlight to see. The bots at the beginning gave us a fucking flashlight, but whatever, I guess. Speaking of your flashlight, little tiny stupid insignificant Freddles will periodically appear around your room. They make the same noise as they do in FNAF 4, so hearing them shouldn't be a problem, especially considering how god-awful annoying they sound. Shine your flashlight at them and bada bing bada boom, they go away. But if you let 3 stay in your room and assault your eardrums for too long, 2 of them will grab either one of your butt cheeks as the 3rd dives headfirst into your rectum, which some of you sick fucks may find pleasing, but I for one do not. The final threat you have to worry about is Night Marionette. If you somehow, by some miracle, haven't noticed in the footage I've been showing on screen so far, there's a giant hole busted into the wall of the room, which is very poorly boarded up. Why is it boarded up? I hear you asking? Oh yeah, forgot to mention, it's only because, Satan is in there, with enough tentacles to make hentai for the next 9,000 years. But, putting that thought aside, Night Marionette will occasionally give a sound cue to let you know she's there. If you look at the hole, you'll be able to see those tentacles creeping out. At this point, you'll need to make a mad dash to the Golden Freddy suit, which is conveniently placed in the room with you, and hide inside of it. Once you do so for long enough, Night Marionette will leave. Now, hold on. I'm not done talking about this stupid fucking Golden Freddy costume yet. I have some complaining to do, if you could imagine. This Golden Freddy suit takes about, 2 fucking decades to put on. I'm not kidding. You will feel like this game is broken or has paused as you are putting this fucking thing on. But if that wasn't enough, taking it off is somehow even worse. Rather than just exiting the costume, instead, the game thought it would be a great idea to have you teleport out of the costume, where you think you'd be able to continue moving around and interacting with things. But no, that'd be too convenient. Instead, once you teleport out of the costume, you have to just stand there for about 4 seconds doing absolutely nothing. No moving, no using your flashlight, just standing there like a dunce as time still passes around you. While in the Golden Freddy costume, did you happen to notice that Balloon Boy was tweaking out? Okay, cool. Night Marionette's gone, let's quickly exit the costume and flash Balloon Boy. Oh wait! Instead of flashing Balloon Boy, i.e. saving your own life, let's instead stand there like we have an iron deficiency for 5 fucking minutes as Balloon Boy twerks his fat jiggly ass all over his goddamn chair. I really needed to get that out of my system. Surely I won't have to complain for the rest of the video now, right? Anyways, how do we actually beat this room's challenge? Good question. You'll notice on the wall there's a picture of Freddy broken up into pieces, with each piece facing a different direction. You can turn each piece in order to make the picture look normal again, but you'll notice that one of the pieces is missing. On the dresser, you'll see the FNAF 4 box that Scott Cawthon wiped his ass with. Of course, it has 2 locks. You can find one of the keys to the locks in a drawer on the dresser, and the other key in the drawer of your nightstand. Using both of these keys to unlock the locks on the box, bars, opens it, revealing the last piece of the Freddy puzzle. You can take that piece and put it back in place to finish the puzzle, revealing a 6-digit code. Quick tip, this number is randomized every time you play it, so no fast speed running for you, sucker. Going back to the nightstand, you can open a door to reveal a safe. You punch that 6-digit code into the safe, open it, and find a hammer. You can then use this hammer to take the nails off the wooden boards covering the closet door, then open the closet door and escape the bedroom. Do keep in mind that as you are trying to do this, you are getting fucked from all angles by about 179 different pieces of fuck. But overall, I think this is by far the easiest room to complete, which is probably how it should be given the fact that we have a lot more rooms to go through. Speaking of, let's get to the next one. The next room is much larger than the previous. This time there are only 3 threats: Toy Chica, Mangle, and the Cupcake. This room is basically a big circle. Chica will walk around the circle patrolling for you. If you get in her line of sight, she will start to chase you. If she catches you, she will throw the meanest right hook I've ever seen since Moozy. You can hide in any of the several lockers lining the walls, but be aware that not all lockers can open. And if you want to know something super awesome, which lockers open are randomized each time you play. Meaning if you lose a run, some of the lockers you hid in before probably will be locked this time. Isn't that awesome? The Cupcake will also patrol around, but he is much less important. He himself can't end your run, but if you're not watching him and accidentally step on him, he will squeak, causing Chica to be alerted to your exact location. For me personally, I hate this type of mechanics in games. I want to note, I don't think they're bad mechanics, I just don't like them. When there's a puzzle, I would like to be able to focus on the puzzle without having to worry about being chased at the same time. It also doesn't help that I don't handle being chased very well in any game, period. But it definitely doesn't help when I'm trying to focus on solving a puzzle on top of that. Just a me thing. But if that wasn't enough for my poor heart to handle, we have Mangle tacked on top of that. Mangle is hiding in the ceiling throughout the challenge. Occasionally, you will hear vent noises. When you do, that's when you know Mangle is about to drop down on yo ass. She has 2 possible drop locations. If you hear the vent noises on a side of the room that you're not on, you can safely ignore her as long as you don't then move to the side she's on. But if you hear her on a side of the room that you are on, you have 2 options. You can either A, move to the other side of the room, which might be a problem if Chica is over there, or B, hide in a locker. If you don't hide and Mangle happens to see you when she drops down, she will start to chase you. And unlike Chica, when Mangle chases you, there's no way to make her stop. At that point, even hiding in a locker won't be enough to be able to protect your cheeks. So, about the puzzle I was bitching about earlier. You'll notice a large door locked via a pin. The pin is 6 digits long and consists of 6 different symbols. Around the dark room, you'll have to find sticky notes on the walls that correlate each symbol to a number, which will give you the code order needed to unlock the door. If you couldn't have guessed, yes, this is also randomized each time you play. Simply find all the notes, type in the code, and you're done. Come on, you didn't really fall for that, did you? That was way too easy. This is a FNAF game, remember? And according to the FNAF game dev rules, difficulty equals quality. So let's make this as hard as possible. After opening up the door and flipping 4 switches to turn the power to the room on, a whole new world of fuck opens up to us, including a brand new threat, Withered Freddy. Withered Freddy sits inside of a music box, which I find weird because the marionette is literally in this room. I don't know why they didn't just use her for this mechanic, but whatever. Freddy's music box will slowly wind down, and if you don't keep it wound up, he will right hook, shatter the glass, hop out, and chase you. Just like Mangle, there's no hiding. If you hide inside of a locker, Freddy will stand outside of it and wait for you to come out. And when you do, you guessed it, he eats your ass. But because the devs of this game hate their players, if you wind Freddy's music box up too much, he will also shatter the glass and then shatter your sphincter. Cool. As if this wasn't hard enough for poor old Dexter to handle. What do we have to do now? Well, inside of the room you opened, there's some shit on the wall and we need to find some gears to make the contraption work. Again, you will just walk around the room and find all the needed gears and put them back in their place. Once you do, a door on the opposite side of the room will open, and you'll have to make a sprint of fate over to it. And then finally, the room is complete. This room isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I actually really like the concept of adding another threat halfway through. I just personally hate it for reasons stated earlier, but that's just a skill issue on my part. Moving on. Do you like complex things? Well boy, do I have a treat for you. The third room challenge is a nightmare. Let's waste no time and do a Tolarian Community College level threat assessment. This room has 4 threats: Springtrap, Dreadbear, Phantom Foxy, and Phantom Balloon Boy. Phantom Balloon Boy is simple, so let's cover him first. He works just as he does in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. He can randomly appear on any of the cameras. If you look at him on the camera for too long, he will jump scare you and cause a video error. Except the video error in this game just means that the camera he jump scared you on can never be used again for the rest of the run, which I promise you is a very bad thing, and the reason will be revealed later. Phantom Foxy can appear in any of the 2 doors connecting to your office. If you look at him for too long, he will charge at you and jump scare you, causing a level of hallucinations to appear. If too many levels of hallucinations appear at once, it's game over. Now, let's talk about the real threats of this night: Springtrap and Dreadbear. Dreadbear can be seen on the cameras and will attack either one of your doors. Do note that you can close these doors and they each have their own power supply. But Dreadbear is unaffected by the doors and will break them down if they're in his way. You'll have to watch the cameras to see which door he will be attacking, and when you see him charging towards one, you will have to hide under the desk on the opposite side of the desk to where he is coming from in order to stay out of his line of sight when he enters your office. Eventually, he will leave and you'll be safe to come back out. Springtrap is a goofy little thing, to say the least. Springtrap will climb through any of 3 vents, which you can see on the cameras. 2 vents bring him to your respective office doors, and the third leads to the vent that is directly above you. If you see Springtrap climbing through a door vent, you will have to simply close the door to the side he's going towards. If you see him climbing through a vent that brings him to the top of your office, you'll need to quickly turn off the power to the office and hide under your desk. He'll drop down, and once he can't see you because the lights are off, he will leave. You got all that down? Good. Because we have a whole load more of fuck to talk about next. That being, how do we escape this room? Well, the goal is to open a tiny vent near the ground beneath the TV screen. To start, you'll want to check near the desk to look for a code. It's random every time, and where it appears next to the desk is also random every time, so have fun. Once you get the code, you head over to the TV screen and press Developer Mode, and then type in the code you found in your office. This lets you activate Developer Mode, which opens up a door on the wall revealing a token. Keep in mind, all of the threats are active at this time. Using the token, you pop that puppy into the big arcade machine in your office, which promptly starts up a game. That's right, while defending yourself from an onslaught of fuck, you will also have to play an entirely other game at the same time. The game in question, Save the Children, is really just a bunch of fetch quests. To start, you'll talk to Balloon Boy, who is fishing and says he needs some balloons. By the way, if you couldn't have guessed, all of the items that you'll be collecting in this minigame will be in a random location every time you play. Because God hates you. When you bring the balloons back to Balloon Boy, he will give you one of the fish he caught. Then you need to find Old Man Consequences and give him the fish, since the pond he's fishing in doesn't have any. Once you give him the fish, he gives you a lily pad for some fucking reason. Don't question it. We don't have time to question it because I neglected to mention there's a fire spreading through the building as you're escaping, and if you take too long, it will reach your office and kill you. No, I'm not joking. Oh, and again, keep in mind all of the threats I mentioned are still pulverizing your butthole. Once you have the lily pad, you'll take it back to Balloon Boy's pond and use it as a bridge to talk to this fucking robot thing. The robot says its watch is broken, so fuck you, go look for a clock. Once you find the clock and bring it back to the robot, he gives you a penguin, I think is what that thing is. Then you take the penguin over to Lolbit, who gives you a key to unlock a gate, which then leads you to an area where you need to unlock another gate. Yes, this minigame is still happening right now. You spelunk into a cave and talk to some dude who thinks the cave is too dark. You then have to leave the cave and go look for a torch, head all the way back and give the torch to him. He will then give you a key to unlock the other gate, And when you do, you'll exit the area, leading to a William Afton cutscene where he goes sicko mode inside of his Springlock suit. And finally, you have to sit there and wait as the game reboots. Again, we're on a time crunch, so your butthole will probably be puckered at this point. Again, threats are still up the wazoo right now, so don't get comfortable. Once the system reboots, you'll get another 5-digit code which you can use to unlock a box on the office desk which reveals a key. You then use the key on a keyhole in the fucking wall for some reason, and at this point, no matter how much time you have left, the game will start to count down from 6. Once the fire reaches your office, the small vent I mentioned at the beginning of this room will finally open, and you'll be free to crawl through it, but not before Springtrap lunges out and grabs your ankle with lust in his eyes and shit. You quickly close the vent and decapitate that bitch, and finally, you complete the room. Holy shit, this room gave me a panic attack and made me shart my pants. Shall we begrudgingly move on to the next room? I think so. Let's keep this gravy train rolling. Do you enjoy having headaches? If you do, this next room is for you. Let's go over it together. I'll hold your hand. This room is made up of 2 hallways, 2 windows, and a bunch of screens, a small elevator, and a life-size 7-foot-tall circus baby animatronic. The goal of this room is to put baby back together, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first go over the threats this room has to offer. The first threat is Ballora. At times you will hear her music box begin to play. Depending on which side of the room you hear the music coming from, you'll need to go over to that side's hallway and press an electric shock button that will electrify the doorway, shocking Ballora and making her go away. If she gets in, I'm guessing you can figure out what happens next. Ballora is the easiest threat. What else is there? Well, the 2 other threats are Funtime Foxy and Funtime Freddy. Occasionally, you will hear a gurgling sound cue, letting you know something is wrong with either Foxy or Freddy. You will have to run over to the windows and turn on the light to their room to see where they are. Starting with Foxy, if you see him doing the thug shaker on stage, you just press his shock button, and he will go back to how he's supposed to be. Be careful though, if you shock him too many times for no reason, he'll eat your ass like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. Freddy, on the other hand, is slightly different. His light button doesn't work. Similar to Sister Location, while looking at him, occasionally sparks will fly out of the wires in his room, briefly illuminating. In this small window of time, you'll be able to see where Freddy is located. He will slowly make his way towards the window, and if he gets too close, you guessed it, ass in his mouth, eating it like a cupcake. If you see Freddy getting too close for comfort, you press the tape symbol button, which will make Bon Bon tell Freddy to get the fuck back on stage. And he promptly will. Again, like Foxy, if you push the tape button too many times for no reason, it's time for the bite of 87 on your asshole. Now, back to putting Baby back together to complete the night. You'll notice that Baby is missing both arms and both legs. The first thing you'll need to do is find the Baby chip hidden on the desk somewhere and plug it into the monitor. For some reason, we don't plug it into a computer, but I guess that's not really important now, is it? Once the monitor comes on, we need to call for Baby's different pieces, starting with her arm. The general goal is to get each piece of her delivered and then fuse each of them to her body. Before I get to the fusing part of this process, let me bitch about the delivery process. So obviously, delivering the parts will take time, which isn't what we want because, as usual, we're on a timer here. And because of it, the devs thought it would be oh so funny to have some of the pieces come in broken. And once you put them on and try to fuse them, only then it will tell you it is broken and won't work. And you'll have to take the piece back off, return it, which also takes time, and then order and wait for another piece to be delivered. Why was this necessary, guys? What neuron fired off in your brain that made you think, how can I be Satan today? Anyways, let's talk about fusing, because this is really where the headache of this challenge comes into play. Starting with fusing the head, which for some reason wasn't already fused on, even though the challenge started with her head already being on her body. In order to fuse Baby's body parts back to her torso, you have to complete a small minigame. For her head, it's basically just Simon Says, but with numbers instead of colors. But don't worry, the devs weren't just being nice and thinking about colorblind people. We'll get to that in just a minute. This is by far the easiest and least time-consuming part to fuse, but if you mess up a pattern once, you'll have to completely restart the head fusing process. Let's move on to her arms. The minigame for both arms are the same. The goal of this minigame is to divert power from the left side of the screen to the right. You do this by turning a bunch of 90-degree lines and 180-degree lines in order to make a consistent path from left to right. This sounds easy, but holy fucking shit, knowing you're on a time crunch and dealing with 30 pounds of dick in your ass at the same time definitely doesn't make this a smooth process. Do that for both arms and you're onto legs, the part that makes people like me want to die. In order to fuse the legs, you have to play a color matching game. You will see 2 grids of colors, one grid where you can change the colors and on the other you cannot. You have to copy it. Let's get the big elephant out of the room. If you're colorblind or deficient like I am, this challenge is borderline impossible. I'm lucky enough to not be completely colorblind, or I would never have beaten this in my entire life. But not only that, but the grid each time has a missing square, as I'm sure you've noticed, but I'm also sure you've noticed that missing square on your side and the missing square on the side you're supposed to copy are in different locations. That's because they rotated the fucking grid. Talk about a headache, am I right? Maybe I'm just brain dead when it comes to this, but trying to comprehend where each color should go when it's rotated was just not a fun experience at all. I'm not even going to lie to you. But once you finally finish fusing all of Baby's pieces back together, a voice will come over the speakers telling you that all of the animatronics have been deactivated, and that you should exit through the hall on your right. When you do, you'll be led to the sister location elevator. Getting inside, it will slowly descend and then stop. You'll hear something laughing at you for a while, and then the elevator will suddenly drop and you die. The end. Game over. Okay, not really. That's just the transition to the next room. Are you ready? Because I sure as fuck aren't. Why did we agree to come to this place? It makes no sense. How does this place even exist? I could have died a solid 276 times at this point, and we're not even done yet. Someone needs to get this place investigated by the FBI because this is some bullshit. What a waste of a Saturday, am I right? Anyways, let's move on. After laying on the floor for approximately 8 days, we finally wake up from the fallen elevator. We walk past a large window and see the characters we just went up against. After the events of the last room, these little tiny robot things apparently grabbed all of the characters to bring them to the scooping room. And this room is presumably that. While we look across the floor of once familiar corpses, the bane of my existence and the shit in my diaper emerges from the tangled mess of wires. Ennard. This guy is the single reason why it took me so long to make this video, why it took me a month to beat this game. For most, it certainly wouldn't have taken this long, but for me, oh my lord, this next room will give me flashbacks like Charlie in the Trees for the next 5 decades, and possibly until I reach my grave. Remember the second room? How I mentioned I don't handle being chased very well? This room made me question if I would be able to continue making videos on this channel, or if I would have to jump ships to another genre to make review videos about. I'm not kidding, not even a little bit. I originally intended to beat this game on stream on Dexter Black, and you can still see my first stream about this game where I gave up on room 2. Well, for the people who tuned into that stream, now I didn't give up. But you should also be grateful that I didn't stream this entire process because I spent tens of hours trying to beat this next room alone. Let me explain why. Room 5 is the epitome of everything I hate in a horror game. Literally all the way down to the last detail. I'll give you a warning right now. This is 100% a me problem and is totally my subjective opinion. So, the only threat in this room is Ennard. Thankfully, there aren't any more, but dear lord, Ennard is all it needs. In terms of where we are story-wise, the elevator crashing was definitely not intended to happen, as upon beginning this room, we don't get a monitor telling us what our goals are. This is cool as a passing thought, but it's not really cool when you stop to think that there is absolutely nothing to explain what it is I need to do to complete the challenge. Upon beginning, we're given a wind to power flashlight and some writing on the wall telling us to light up a solar panel using the flashlight. Now, I'm already going to pause real quick. We're being shown a new mechanic, the wind up flashlight and solar panel. Cool. Now tell me, do you suspect we need to light up solar panels ever again in this entire challenge? Or the entire game? I'm assuming you said yes, but you'd be completely wrong. No, there's not a single other solar panel in this entire game. So please, tell me, why the fuck were we shown this? Showing us the flashlight makes sense, but there were countless other ways to do it in a much better way than showing us another mechanic that is never used again. This is exactly like the gun in Muzi. But continuing, once we light the solar panel, a large door opens and the challenge truly begins. The overall goal of this challenge is probably the easiest we've seen so far. It's broken up into 5 distinct tasks. Step 1, find a crowbar. Step 2, use the crowbar to force open a drawer near Kyle's desk to get a key card. Step 3, Use Kyle's keycard to open a door, allowing you to turn a generator on that powers computer monitors throughout the room. Step 4. Find all 3 computers and input 3 colored fuses into each. The fuses are conveniently placed in boxes right next to the computers, so I appreciate that. And step 5. Go back to the generator and turn on the central power, which opens the door, allowing you to climb a ladder and beat the challenge. Sounds simple, right? Well, yes. It is simple, but now I need to talk about the problem. Ennard. Ennard will be patrolling the giant maze of a room the entire time you are performing these tasks. If he sees you, he will begin to chase you. If you get caught, you will lose all progress you've made throughout the challenge. Let me tell you another fact. Unlike every room in this game so far, this room ain't small. No, this room is very fucking large. I hate everything about life. Let me complain about some more stuff. If you are near Ennard, he will hear you and be alerted to you if you do the following. Wind up the flashlight. Makes sense. It's really loud. I can understand that one. If you run. Okay, yeah. I've seen that in other games before. Running is louder than walking is, and walking. That's right. If you move, period, while he is anywhere remotely close to you, he will hear you and start to chase you. What the fuck? And once he starts chasing you, there's only 2 ways to get him to stop. The devs must have been smoking crack and playing Dead by Daylight while they were designing this section, because one of the methods used to escape an Ennard chase is by knocking over wood pallets placed around the room. Quickly break the pallets and continue to chase you if you don't hop bottom out of there at light speed. What's the second way of escaping a chase? I hear you asking? Well, it's by stunning Ennard. How do you stun Ennard? I hear you asking again. That's a great question. I have no fucking idea. I'm not joking. I literally have no fucking clue on earth how, on God's green fuck, you're supposed to stun Ennard. How do I know you can stun him? Well, every time you die, which, judging by the fact it took me borderline a month to beat this challenge, I did quite frequently, you will get a tip on the loading screen. One of these tips tells you that stunning Ennard will give you more time to run away than knocking over a pallet will. So I know you can, but the game doesn't elaborate on how to do that as far as I'm aware. So to this day, I still have no idea how to stun Ennard. I don't know what the hell the game is talking about. I'm stumped. But I'm not even close to done talking about this section of the game. No. I spent a fucking month on this. I can dedicate a few pages of my script to it. You can sit down and listen. I don't care if this video ends up being an hour long. You see, there is a very large, steaming hot, glaring issue with this challenge in specific. Since it's technically not a part of the canonical attraction, there's no tip screen at the beginning. But with no tip screen, there's no telling anyone fuck about fuck. So, as I said, there are 3 computers around the level. Each computer has a box of fuses with differently colored patterns on them right next to them. Each computer requires 3 different fuses. How do you figure out which fuses go where? Well, at first I looked at the colors of the wires going into the computer. I thought maybe this will give me a hint as to what I'm supposed to do. So I tried to grab the fuses out of the box, but I couldn't. So then I thought, oh, maybe these aren't the fuses, and the actual fuses are randomly placed around the map. So I went to look. I looked, and I looked, and I looked, but I never found any fuses. Eventually, I died for probably the 48,000th time to see a tip appear on my screen. You won't be able to pick up fuses until you turn on the monitors. You didn't think to tell me that? You didn't think that was important information to give out earlier? This is why we need the fucking tip screen, asshole. But fuck me, whatever, sure. So then I started trying to figure out how to turn the monitors on. I tried seeing if I could press the buttons on the monitors, but that didn't work, so then I decided to try and find something else to do. Eventually, I found a note next to a door mentioning that Kyle leaves a keycard in his desk to open said door. Okay, cool. Something to do has just fallen into my lap. Let's go find Kyle's desk. Luckily for me, desks are in the same location every time you play, so we don't have to worry about those being randomized. After looking for a very long time, because again, I don't handle being chased well at all, it's like I fucking lock up and start freezing. I don't know what's wrong with me, I just can't handle it. So, most of the gameplay boiled down to me moving incredibly slowly and taking way more time than I ever needed to complete this challenge. But that's how I personally had to do this if I wanted to play it myself, which is also why the footage you're watching right now isn't mine. Thank you, Kono and Indie Fuel. I eventually find Kyle's desk to then find another note from Kyle mentioning that you need a crowbar to be able to open his drawer with the keycard in it. Fuck me. So, after searching for another 100 years, I find the crowbar on a desk and use it to open the drawer to get the keycard. 400 hours and 2,000 deaths later, I use the keycard to open the door and find the generator inside. Flip the switch and boom, the computers are now on. Now, 5,000 deaths later, I finally get to the point where I can pick up the fuses and match the correct fuses to the ones shown on the screen. After 25,000 deaths, I manage to correctly match the fuses of all 3 computers. Keep in mind, every time I die, I have to completely restart this entire process, all the way back to shining the flashlight at the solar panel. I'm on the verge of death. So finally, I make it back to the generator to turn it on and finish this godforsaken challenge. And I do, expecting the door next to it to open. It doesn't. Come in real close for me. Come in real close. This fucking door needs a separate key that spawns randomly in the level. I'm going to clench my teeth together so hard that they shatter into a fine powder. This right here is what took me the longest. So finally, after 100,000 deaths, I finally get the key to the generator to unlock the door. Come in real close again for me, real close, one more time. Take a guess what's in this room. Is it the exit to let me move on to the next challenge? No, it's just fucking lore. I didn't know this while I was playing. I don't watch videos about the games I play, so I had no idea what was behind this fucking door. I know that's 100% my fault, but dear God, when I tell you how fucking pissed I was when I finally figured out this after hours upon hours of attempts, I was fucking livid. I wish I was recording my attempts so I could show you my reaction. You wanna know what happened after a reasonable crash out in this room? Ennard fucking walked in and killed me, making me start from the beginning again. Once again, I wasn't recording. However, this exact same thing happened to Markiplier, so I'll show you footage of this happening to him instead.
Good. I was about to say, if that guy could have come in here, I would have been so mad. How could you ever get me in here?
The amount of vulgarities that emerged from my lungs at a speed of Mach 50 in that moment was astronomical, enough to shake trees and shatter the sound barrier. I was fucking livid. But again, I know full well that this entire section, this entire 4 pages of my script is an experience that only I have had. Nobody else on Earth struggled with this challenge as much as I did. Nobody in history has ever spent a calendar month pouring attempts into this section of a game that should only take 20 minutes to complete. I know it's a skill issue, and a very hard skill issue at that, but I could not, under any circumstance, neglect to mention how bullshit of an experience I had. I hope you enjoyed this segment. I eventually found the door to the generator, opened it, and climbed up the ladder into the next challenge of this godforsaken fuck-ass game. From one anxiety attack to another, let's talk about room 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and that's how many threats we have to talk about in this level. Awesome segue, Dexter. Thanks, Dexter. The first threat we'll talk about is Molten Freddy. Molten Freddy can appear in one of 2 vents occasionally. When you hear or see him in one, you'll have to break your mouse and spam click a lever in the vent to blind him with a light more powerful than the sun. Every time you flash him, he gets slightly pushed back, which leads to you spending an infuriating amount of time spamming the fucking lever to make him go away. The next threat is Scrap Baby. As I'm sure you've noticed, we're locked inside a fenced area. On the outside of the fence is a forest, and occasionally you'll be able to see Baby limping her way out from between the trees towards your fence. When she gets to the fence, she'll hop that shit like an Olympic athlete and fuck your shit up. To stop her, you must go to this random screen in the wall and activate the repel system, which plays the most ear-piercing sound I've ever heard in my entire life. So I totally understand why that makes Baby go away. The final threat is Scrap Trap, who in my opinion is the stupidest looking FNAF character ever designed. You can see Scrap Trap sitting on a chair down a long hallway. You must watch him closely as he will slowly start to move until his head is eventually in an upright position. When it is, you must use the same screen you used for Baby, but instead close the door and use the call system to lure him to you. After waiting what will feel like an eternity, you will be able to hear him stand up from the chair and sprint like Usain Bolt towards the door, and pound on it like he's on speed. Then he will go back to the chair and you can open the door and turn off the call system. By the way, the call system is also the worst sound I've ever heard in my whole life. Thank you for asking. That may not sound all bad, but having to deal with all three of these fuckers and do the other bullshit we have to do, I promise it will become difficult to manage. So what is it we have to do? Well, the goal is to remove the chains from a fence gate so that we can open it. Simple enough. To start, you'll notice another screen different from the one used to defend yourself. On it, you'll find the opening minigame from Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator. You will need to complete 4 levels of this game, which in and of itself isn't a hard challenge, but when the music is pretty loud, listening for the other characters can be a problem, especially when Scraptrap doesn't make any noise until it's already too late. After beating this game, you will unlock a prize that we can't access at this moment, so we'll get back to it in a second. Afterwards, you'll need to look around your surroundings to find 2 pieces of paper with a number ranging from 1 to 3 on them, accompanied by a silhouette of a FNAF character. You can use these pieces of paper to input a code into this little toy thing. I don't know what this thing is, if I'm being honest. You only need 2 pieces of the code because you can just brute force the last one. After getting the code correct, a key will emerge. Take that key and run down the hall and unlock a door to the right of Scraptrap. This is personally where I think this level gets specifically hard, since we'll be spending most of our time in here now, meaning we won't be able to hear Scraptrap and Molten Freddy. So if you forget to check on them, it's basically GG's. Inside this new room, we can finally obtain the prize we got from beating the Pizzeria Simulator minigame, a Faz coin. You'll notice a projector that's projecting a cut-up piece of paper on the wall. If you pull a lever on the same wall, this tiny little Freddy I can't remember the name of will try to read the projection. But he obviously won't be able to do so because it's only a small piece of a paper, you fucking idiot. Using the Faz coin, you can go back into Scraptrap's room and insert it into Rockstar Freddy's stomach, and then press 3 buttons on his body in an order listed on a piece of paper. This makes sense, by the way. This will cause his mouth to open, revealing the other pieces of paper you need. Slap those bitches on the projector and put them together like a puzzle, which, side note, is a pain in the ass for no reason. The controls are super janky. Slap the lever with your big Coke can penis, and have bitch Freddy read it. When he does, a door next to Rockstar Freddy will open with some bolt cutters inside. You can use these bolt cutters to cut the chains off of the fence and escape this level. This level might not seem as difficult as some of the other ones have, and while none of these levels are particularly difficult in terms of what you literally have to do, all of the levels, and this one specifically, build up so much stress and really test your nerve control. After jumping down some weird looking cellar door, we enter a new room with a computer in it. It shows an error that it detected human movement. Obviously, we just entered the room, of course. While reading through the files on the computer that detail a plan to revive someone through our corpse, another human detection error shows up on screen. Knowing that we haven't moved, we turn around and get our shit smacked up by Vanny and get knocked out. Fun fact, you can actually spot Vanny spying on you in almost every other level in the game if you're looking closely enough. Just something cool I thought I'd bring up. We wake up to Vanny dragging us into an unknown room. And rather than me explaining what happens next, I'd rather just show you. Afterwards, we walk through what appears to be memories of the Bite of 87 events, and the game comes to a close. So, from a lore perspective, we were lured to this attraction by Vanny. You may remember at the beginning of the game we got a text from a friend telling us how cool this attraction is, and in the secret lore room, which turns out to be Vanny's secret room, she has a whiteboard full of steps on how to use remnants. One of the steps involves sending a message to someone, seemingly to lure them in, and what do you know, we got a message to come here. Also in that secret room is a tape that can be watched going over how to extract remnant from people. So what the goal seemingly was, using my enormous brain of theorization, The plan was to lure us to the attraction, extract Remnant from us in order to give power to William Afton, which is what we are seeing happen in the final cutscene. Case closed, I'm a genius. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the glitched attraction has to offer. Although this game put me through 4 brain aneurysms and a heart attack, I still think it is one of the most impressive FNAF fan games ever made. The amount of detail, skill, and effort put into this is only matched by the other kings of FNAF games, and that cannot go overlooked. I highly suggest you give this game a try, even if you think it's too hard. I don't think you'll regret it. I just really hope they add in a feature to get rid of the nauseating head bobbing because holy shit, I almost threw up multiple times playing this. In the last video, I asked you all what was the funniest experience you've ever had playing a FNAF game. And my favorite comment was this one by Saf the Dark Angel. Needless to say, we love irony here on the Dexter White channel. We're all too familiar with it. The question of this video is, which level of the glitched attraction is your favorite and why? With the question of the video being asked, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya!